It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. And now it's time for my favorite part of the show, wherein I guess what's in Tim's background. Tim, I'm going to say that this is, you've done this before, I think. You get real serious around Memorial Day, no jokes, no buxom lasses or anything like that. You have a very nice, serene, pastoral possible look, something honoring our war dead. That's what I'm going to say. Am I right about that?
Well, you're pretty close. It is a memorial, but not the one you expected.
How about another Schlitz, fellas? Okay,
That's
real
right.
gusto.
Schlitz beer is ceasing production after 177 years.
That's a long time to go for a beer that I understand is pretty awful.
Well,
but I'm not an aficionado of beer, but that's what I hear is just.
Well, it was the first brewery in Milwaukee. 1839 is when it was founded, and it truly is the beer that made Milwaukee famous. Which was their slogan, because everyone else said, "Oh, that's where we go to brew beer." So that's where all the Germans settled, in Milwaukee, to brew beer.
Did you? And of course, there was a great punchline of a joke many years ago. I don't think.
Oh, yeah. I was going to do that punchline. Yes.
Do the punchline.
I have no idea what the joke is, but it's one of those jokes where it's an ad slogan reversed. And it's a very long story to get there.
Yeah, you don't want the long story.
No.
But if you say the punchline, you can infer the story. So go ahead, give us the punchline.
It is the fear that made Bill Mamie walk us.
No, it's a different one. Okay.
Okay.
No, the beer that made Milt Famey walk us. This is about ball players getting a ball player having imbibed too much Schlitz. And then he walked, run in or something like that.
Well, so it was. I heard it as the fear. It actually moved one more consonant than you did. It was the fear that.
Let's get into a dispute over a dead beer.
A joke that no one under 60 would even get.
Let's see. There's another Schlitz joke too. Oh, I hope I'm not going to wreck this one. The guy from Miller, four beer executives walk in. I just want to make sure I get this right. Okay, well, you'll help me at the end. Four beer executives walk into a bar, and the guy from Miller says, "I'll have a Miller Light." The guy from Pabst says, "I'll have a Pabst." The guy from Coors says, "I'll have a Coors Light." The guy from Guinness says, "I'll have a Coke." And so the other guys ask, "Well, why did you order a Coke?" And he said, "Well, none of you was ordering a beer." So, anyway.
Interestingly, it was not known as a good beer. It had more to do with the fact that just the name kind of sounded like a medical condition rather than. But what happened in the 70s is that cheap beer became the popular thing in the 70s during the recession-prone 70s. So they changed the recipe. The recipe that had been existed since 1839 they changed it. They cheapened up the recipe. They made it into a crap beer. Because when I was in college, man, we had Michigan. We had 10-cent a bottle deposit. So you could actually, if you had two empty cases, you could get a free case. It was kind of like buy two, get one free.
I'll tell you,
it was very cheap.
Yeah, I never really was much of a beer drinker. A Blue Moon was about all I could handle when I could handle that. So, it's all the same to me. But
kinda
I know,
like
there are aficionados. I'm sorry?
Kind of like a malt screwdriver, orange juice and beer.
There we go.
But here, Schlitz in the about 10, 15 years ago, they saw that Pabst was like the beer of choice for the young kids. It was they loved the irony of the PBR, And they said so they tried to go after that market, and they went back to the 1839 recipe.
Ah,
And it was kind of I had no idea whether it was the original recipe or not, because there was no one alive to compare to that could actually remember what it tasted like before the 70s. They'd probably lost their taste buds. Uh,
why didn't Schlitz just try to go woke? They would have
well,
had
that's what.
nothing
Yeah,
to
that's
lose.
kind of what they did. They kind of, and when I tasted the old formula, it tasted like a microbrew. It kind of
Okay.
had that hoppy flavor of an IPA. It actually was a good beer, and it had the ironic label that your grandpa used to drink. It had the long necks. I thought it was going to be a big seller with the kids, but apparently it did not. It did not make it.
Well, I didn't have spending the first half the first segment of the weekly show on something that I don't even partake. But whatever. But no, yeah, Schlitz. Leo DeRocher, when he was with the Cubs, was endorsing it, and he famously said, "How about another Schlitz, fellas?" He didn't even pronounce it right, and they didn't make him pronounce it right either. But
And it
that's fine.
actually, yeah, the crap they were selling in the 70s, they could have used the slogan, borrowed the slogan, and said, tastes as great as its name.
Now, I'm pretty I'm pretty sure that Schlitz was the one that said, "When you're out of Schlitz, you're out of beer," right?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Uh,
because I used that later. When I used to do a thing called Name That White Sox Player's Tune, where I was imitating Nancy Faust on the Hammond organ. When you're out of Hammond, you're out of Oregon. And, which was kind of a play on a beer
sure,
as well, Hams.
sure.
But so, a little tribute, little homage to Schlitz, and may it rest in peace. So we normally don't talk about sports, but this is such a cultural thing in the first segment anyway.
And it kind of ties in with the beer.
Oh yeah, because how many did she have is the question. We're talking about Pete Crow Armstrong, and he was fined $5,000. And I figured this out. I actually took to Chat GPT to figure it out. So, how much is $5,000? A $5,000 fine to a guy who makes $19 million a year. Okay, and let's put it this way: if you use the same percentage on somebody who makes $100,000 a year, it would be like the cost of like one of those celebration milkshakes they sell for $15 to $20 at the rate. That's what he would have paid. But excuse me, for Pete, it's a more minuscule amount. It would be like one sip of one of those milkshakes. So that's in other words, when she said you suck, he said you could suck this
Sure.
this milkshake right now. One of the problems is she's yelling you suck, and so you've already got the bar is he's got to respond in some way, and he's got to elevate it a little bit. Now, did he go maybe a little too far with 3 asterisks in his response? Yeah, I guess it's arguable. Of course, he apologized for that. But it's interesting. I think I've talked about this before. The history of the word "suck" in common in modern parlance. A lot of it originated right at the former White Sox park across the street from Disco Demolition, when we had the Disco Sucks campaign. And sucks was an out there word at that time. When Bart Simpson used the word sucks, and my oldest kid had a T-shirt that said it, I said, "You can't wear that T-shirt." Okay, so that's that's the way it was. Now it's you have some bride. You realize this was her engagement party that she was at? Did you?
I
She goes,
didn't see the story until you started talking about it.
okay,
So.
okay. Well, she's she's a White Sox fan. She's dressed in white for her engagement party. She doesn't strike me as someone who actually needs to be in white for a wedding. I can't jump to conclusions though. But anyway, her husband is a Cub fan, and he's tried to restrain her a little bit. But you're holding your engagement party in the patio. We held my father's 50th birthday party in the picnic area at the old park. That's the kind of thing you do. An engagement party at at the ballpark where you come to actually heckle the ball players. They actually had a design to do that. They said that we're going to go there and we're going to give him, excuse me, a hard time. So,
did I ever tell you my heckling story at White Sox Park?
No, I'd love to hear it.
It was when Sammy Sosa was playing for the Sox,
Oh,
and they were
okay.
playing against Detroit. And a buddy of mine said no one heard of Sammy Sosa at that time, and so he gets the program and he goes that's Sammy Sosa down there. Let's see what we can. Let's come up with a really good heckle. And so we look in the little program there, and he just arrived from Haiti, and the heckle I came up with was, "Yeah, you missed that catch. You're going to be cutting cane with your mama back home."
Oh my God! Oh, gee whiz. Did he respond to that?
No, but the next inning he was not there.
Oh my goodness! Sammy Sosa, he grew up using a milk carton as a mitt. A milk carton as a mitt. That poor guy. Of course, he did then use steroids and wrecked I don't know how I'm ever going to get my summer of 1998 back after what he and Mark McGwire did. Anyway, all I can say is, we've come a long way since the question was posed, should a gentleman offer a lady a Tipperillo? Which I guess what he said was tantamount to. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. And, my favorite part of the show is guessing what's in Tim's background, but at least my second favorite part is resurrecting the 2020 election. So what are you saying now? I saw Jesse Waters going crazy the other day about how the former FBI director didn't know that there were a lot of informants that actually went into the Capitol.
Yeah, well, he should have known because, when they were arrested, they said, I was a CI. Oh, okay, you can go, Mr. Epps. But yeah, the latest came out. They were also getting paid by the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Wait.
My guess is that's the ones. Those are the ones that were carrying Confederate flags.
Wait a minute. Are those the ones who were double dipping?
Yeah.
I mean, wait, they would be double dipping if they're paid by the Southern Poverty Law Center and the FBI.
Yeah.
That in and of itself is an ethical violation.
Sure.
If I've ever heard one. Wait, but I didn't see this. When did the Southern Poverty Law Center stuff come out?
Jim Jordan just announced that he has information that it was occurring.
Okay, so then my question is, are they the ones leading the charge into the Capitol?
Good question.
Well, I mean that's pivotal, because the reason that I stick to my guns about excuse me, Jacob Chansley, Viking helmet guy, is that first of all he lied and said like he was in the second or third wave. He was in the first wave. So the Capitol, the glass windows already shattered, and they charge into the Capitol, and that's part of the first wave. Now, if you're telling me that there's a paid guy from the Southern Poverty Law Center leading them in there, well, then, then all those guys deserve to get $1 million each from the Trump slush fund, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, that's actually, yeah, it would be a little less than if each one of those got $1 million, it would be it would be a little bit less. But that isn't, those aren't the only people that can sign up for the slush fund. I mean, there's also the people who were arrested because they interrupted a school board meeting. There's there's the moms that were the grandmothers that were praying in abortion centers. I mean, there's a lot of people that actually that the Justice Department was weaponized against.
Yeah. Well, you have to take it on a case by case basis, but we will consider that. I'm always willing to reopen the books on this.
And it's not just the breaching the Capitol. I mean, there was a legal permitted protest, but it was supposed to stay within inside the bike racks. But apparently somebody moved the bike racks and then took down the sign saying this area is restricted.
And so then somebody, a citizen of the United States of America, with a Viking helmet on, thought it would be a good idea to break into the Capitol. And look, in real time, when I saw the Viking guy standing there at Nancy Pelosi's desk, the august Capitol chamber, I had to laugh a little bit, as long as they didn't have guns. Now, I didn't know at that point that Ashley Babbitt would be the recipient of something discharged from a gun. But in any event, we'll look at it. We'll re-examine it. We've got,
what it looked like to me was not much different after a sports team wins a national championship. It starts as a victory protest and kind of turns into shenanigans. Including the Viking helmet guy, because there's always a guy at the sports team victory party with no shirt and weird face paint.
I'm the last to criticize people because when the Cubs won the World Series after a 108-year drought, I actually went outside and tipped over my own car. That's how excited I was. All right, let us talk now about the issue of the day, which is the movie that I'm sure I'm not going to see, but there's a big controversy. It's The Odyssey, okay? And which one of you sent me a picture of? It's not that. It's the picture of Sydney Sweeney as Rosa Parks, which, hey, can't argue with that. But anyway, the
Rosa Parks in the back.
Gladly would have given up my seat for either Rosa Parks or Sydney Sweeney. That's the kind of guy I was. So this woman cast as Helen is a black woman. We have the picture of her. Yeah, I mean, I gotta say that she's at least in the 800 to 900 ship launching range. If might launch 1,000 ships. I mean, she's a pretty woman, right? And that's the idea of Helen, is that she's pretty. Do you have a problem with a black woman being Helen, you racist? 2020
like you said,
guy?
I said, she's 8 to 9. She's not a full 1,000.
Yeah. Who would be a full 1,000?
Well,
Sydney? Yeah.
I think so. I think she's pretty close. It's
now, does Helen have to act at all? I mean, because Sydney is. Don't get me wrong. When she's got, the little black nose and the whiskers on and everything like that, and the OnlyFans parody, I'm sure she's great. But I got to think that she's got to be able to act a little bit now.
But I'm still can't get over Elliot Page as Achilles.
It just doesn't work for me, because that Elliot Page he's an Achilles body, not Achilles heel. He's
that's the story of Achilles. That was his weakness, was his heel.
Right.
It's not his pronouns. I mean, you can defeat Elliot Page by referring to him as a she.
Now, look, he winds up getting killed by some guy named Paris. Oh, come on. But Paris hits him in the heel and kills him. Now,
Hilton? Is it going to be Paris Hilton playing Paris?
Would love it. Look, let's face it, the real Helen, the one that Homer envisioned, I'm sure, probably had missing teeth, hairy armpits, and stunk. Because that's what they were like back then. I mean,
that would launch my ship, Bruce.
in the other direction.
I don't know about you.
In the other direction. Oh my goodness. Anyway, all right, Mark Fuhrman died. He was 74. You know, I didn't even know. I mean, I remember the trial, and I remember how they, for a better lack of a better term, strung him up for using the N-word. But I forgot or didn't know that the context was that he was trying to say it for a script that somebody was writing. It wasn't even he was acting, and that's when he used the word.
Well, here's the interesting thing for me is that when the Mark Fuhrman testimony came up,
yeah,
that was the first time I had ever heard it referred to as the N-word.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Up until that point, if you remember, up until that point, culturally, if somebody said it, the news would repeat it.
Oh,
and it was,
really?
Yeah, it wasn't, All in the Family was still in reruns. They didn't censor it. They didn't censor the Jeffersons. They still used the word up until that point. But when the OJ trial started, that's when CNN started calling it the N-word. And I remember it distinctly because a friend of mine says, it kind of makes me feel like a grade school kid that they're doing that on the news.
Well,
and that was
that's fascinating. So here's Mark Fuhrman being held to a standard that they just decided that day. Okay. And did I ever tell you about when I had the chance to interview Johnny Cochran?
No.
When I did these hallway ambush interviews at Channel 32,
sure.
The lighthearted things where I'd attack Davy Jones of the Monkees and have him sing "Consider Yourself" from Oliver, which he starred in as the Artful Dodger in London, and a whole bunch of people. But my producer said, because Johnny Cochran had moved to Chicago, he was starting his own practice in Chicago. And so the regular news anchors interviewed him. And my producer said, "Oh, you ought to do a hallway ambush with Cochran. He's really a lot of fun." And I respectfully declined to do that because the only question that I wanted to ask Johnny Cochran was, how did it feel to get a guy who murdered, a guy whom you believe murdered his ex-wife and a young man off the hook? A BS case. How did it feel to do that? You proud of yourself? Jackie Childs, as Seinfeld popularized him. But so I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I mean, and how low my standards are.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but it was just like, oh no, you got to be kidding. I'm not having fun with this guy. And I know every defendant has his Sixth Amendment right to counsel, and that stupid glove. I still remember the attorney's name. Do you remember there's OJ trivia? Do you remember the name of the attorney who had OJ try on the glove, the prosecutor?
I do not.
Christopher Darden.
Oh.
Yeah, Marsha Clark was leading the prosecution, and Christopher Darden has OJ put the tight isotoner glove on over a latex glove. Tries to do it.
Not to mention the fact that it had shrunk because it had been blood soaked and dried.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Red. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Did you see this story about William Daniels? I remember how far back I go with this actor. Before St. Elsewhere, wasn't he on St. Elsewhere? He's one of the serious doctors.
I don't remember St. Elsewhere at all.
Okay, so you remember St. Elsewhere. He was on a show called Captain Nice. He was Captain Nice. That's in the late 60s. And so apparently he's 99 now. and he's got a 96-year-old wife, and they were talking about their secrets to marital success because apparently they had some rough years in the 60s and 70s. And by that, I don't mean the 60s and 70s chronologically. I mean the 1960s and 70s, because they've been married a long time. I didn't bother to read the story, though. So
I don't even remember William Daniels, and that's probably why he was stuck with the same wife. Because if Mister Nice had taken off in the '60s,
yeah.
he would have taken the trade in.
So I mean, this is one of those stories that I just intuited. I thought we'd intuit, what made them, made them have a successful marriage.
Yeah, a failed acting career. That's exactly.
No, he's been in a lot
pretty
of
easy to figure out.
He's been in a lot of things.
Yeah, a
over
lot
the
of
decades.
a lot of bit parts, making after scale.
Well,
nothing.
maybe.
He's not Seinfeld money. He never made Seinfeld money.
No. He did, but I think he was more than a bit actor. But yeah, he's not exactly Leo DiCaprio.
I mean, Howie Mandel still has to work,
25.
and he was like the center of St. Elsewhere, and he still has to work to support himself and his ex-wives.
Well, yes, remember him well. Anyway, turning to local news. So apparently Pritzker and Mayor Johnson are trying to point the finger at each other over the failure of the city and the state to keep the Bears here. I mean, it's not a done deal yet, but they're yelling at each other about this. And
well, isn't there kind of a fight? I mean, Pritzker doesn't care if it's in Arlington Heights, and Johnson definitely wants it in Chicago.
Right. But the thing is that Johnson says the disconnect is we do come from different experiences. I'm not a billionaire. I'm not the heir to billions of dollars. The governor and I had different upbringings. He doesn't know what it's like to open up a refrigerator and ain't no food in it. I love when I liked when Obama used to do that. Started to talk like he didn't grow up in suburban Honolulu or wherever it was.
Kamala's doing it all the time now. Have you heard Kamala talking about? I forget what she was talking about, but she's doing it full time, and it sounds so funny because obviously where would she have picked it up?
Exactly. There are classes that they take for this. So anyway, Pritzker was profiled in Chicago Magazine, and he talked about his difficult upbringing, where he stopped just short of saying that I was born a poor black child, because he was. I mean, and you know what? Billionaires can have rough childhoods too. I mean,
sure.
Apparently,
sure. You know what they do to fat rich boys at the prep school? Come on, Bruce.
Well, I think they take away their toilets from them. Is what they do. So yeah, but he did. I mean, he had a tough time. His mother was an alcoholic, and and I think both his parents may have died young. So it was tough. But it's, I mean, kind of tough to look for sympathy.
So he was raised by a trust fund manager. Is that?
But right. It's Chicago Magazine. I once was not. I actually one time when they had a list of like the hippest media people, I was the TV sportscaster thing, and I think Letterman show actually saw that, and they contacted me about trying to be on the show. But I think they were looking for another Marv Albert, a foil for Letterman, not a guy who thought he was Letterman as well, which is me. But and anyway, another time.
Wait, I want to go back to that. How far did it go? Did they just call you?
I had to send them tapes or something like that.
Huh.
But it was me being funny, and so it never went anywhere. But yeah.
So you sent them the tapes, and they said never heard back.
There's nothing.
Huh.
So another time, the author Brad Thor.
I do not.
Okay, I mean he writes like this book a year, a bestseller a year, You know, it's about, I forgot, don't tell Brad. It's some protagonist who of daring do. You know, I want to say he's like you know, Matt Damon, like doing those crazy things, and they're really good novels, is what I understand. And he, Chicago Magazine wanted to profile him because because I mean he grew up like you know right in I think on the Gold Coast, and he was a great author, and he used to come on the show that Dan Proft and I did, and so Brad asked me to go to a lunch with him and this writer for Chicago Magazine about you know what he thought of Chicago, you know, and we went to what's it called, Ralph L or Ralph Lauren's restaurant, you know, that posh restaurant downtown, RL I think it was called, and we go there and you know have a great lunch, you know, and most of the time while Brad is pontificating, I'm going, are you going to eat that stuffed crab? You know, just like, so anyway, but I'm with him, and there's a photo of us in the Chicago Magazine, and he sits there and he's ripping Chicago and the high taxes and why he's moving, and he did move. He moved to Nashville because he couldn't stand you know the cost of Chicago. So he spends the whole time ripping it. So this poor author, he goes, but this is Chicago Magazine. They're going to look for you know things that you love about the city. Okay. So I at the tail end, I think Brad had to say give him a couple of quotes, and you know I'm glad it lasted that long because by then I'm eating Brad Thor's dessert as well. So it was just that's Chicago Magazine, you know, very very hometownish.
Once he started making money, he had to pay the taxes, and it made him Thor.
It's so Thor, you know the play, you
Yeah,
know the Playboy party joke, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
You
Your
know,
favorite. I know it's your favorite.
it's
Yeah.
my favorite. It's better than the beer that made Milfamy walk us. You know, when Thor says, "You're Thor." No, the hooker says, "You're Thor," the Norse god. I'm so Thor I can hardly piss. Yeah, that's the punchline to that. We're just gonna get punchlines the rest of the show.
Yeah.
Oh,
By the end of our fifth season, we'll just be giving the numbers of the jokes.
right, like the prisoner. There's a prisoner joke, right? Isn't there?
Yeah, that's number 41, Bruce.
Okay, so I love that. So there's this article about how the poor person in New York City, whatever, who makes $70,000 a year, can't afford these $28 lunches every day. And you know, the immediate response to that is, why are you spending $28 on lunch? I mean, you can make yourself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So, you know, there was another one this past week where some billionaire was lecturing people and saying, you know, you don't have to buy a $10 latte. You can,
Yeah.
you know, you could, somebody said, you know, you can get a can of Folgers and make some coffee for
you can get
yourself.
a McDonald's cup of coffee for $1.50.
So anyway, although I will say this, we want to be a little serious. I think it was Buck Sexton said, people age 20 to 50 aren't struggling with costs because of lattes and avocado toast. College costs 10 times what it did for our parents. Average house price is up 60% in 6 years. Health insurance has doubled since the ACA debacle. All policy choices. Yeah, I think there's something to do with that. I mean, you have inflation. I mean, when you say McDonald's is cheap, but the Coke went up from 99 cents to 2.50. So yeah, Joe
And
Biden.
you know you're not going to be able to fill it yourself. Did you know that? They're putting
right.
by 2032 they're going to put all the Coke machines back behind the counter.
Yeah. I knew that was a coming.
Yeah, it's because everyone carries their Yeti water or their Stanley cups around everywhere now. So it's
okay.
So yeah, you buy one small drink and you fill up a half gallon.
I'm telling you, first, it's corporate abandonment again. First, Walgreens moves out of the South Side or wherever it was because, people are, taking it.
Thieving.
Well, it's instant reparations. What can I say? And now they're going to take away our Coke. All right, fair enough. And finally, for this segment, did you know that this is the 20th anniversary of An Inconvenient Truth?
Wow.
I mean,
I thought I'd be flooded out by now.
yeah. I mean, we have FanDuel and all these betting sites and all that. If Al Gore had to put money down on the predictions that he made, I mean, he's kind of like he's the Paul Ehrlich of the political set. Just made an absolute mess and a fortune off the Chicken Littling rap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. You see this Variety had, I never know if it's real or not, but it looked like it's on the Variety logo. Sharon Stone, was it at the Cannes Film Festival? I'm not sure. She standing there and she's telling people, although this was at the Better World Fund Gala. And she says, I want
Sydney Sweeney was at the Cannes.
Oh, yeah. I want you to tell them, and I want you to mean it, that you're sorry for the thing that hurt them. She wanted people to hug the person next to them or something like that. That makes them afraid, mean, unkind, afraid when they're alone, angry. Put that effing phone down. Turn to the person next to you. Turn to that man right there and hug him. Hug that man. Well, I wouldn't mind being hugged, straddled even by
Sharon Stone.
By Sharon Stone, back from the Basic Instinct days, because that's kind of dirty old man I am. But back then I was a dirty young man. So in any event, it was an interesting little soundbite from her. Now, did you see? There's a fascinating product in the market. You can get like a banana for every day. Okay. And it's like seven bananas. And the one on the far right is green, and then it starts getting yellow, and then you finally have the ripened banana all the way on the left. And you don't have to get a bunch of bananas. Yes, we have no bananas that look like that. We hadn't until now. You have.
It's interesting that the picture that you show of this starts with the yellow on the left and goes to the green on the right. So you would eat it the same way that Americans read. I wonder if it's actually real, because what do Koreans? Oh, I guess you could turn it up and down so it would work.
Yeah, but it is nice that, and so if that's a banana in your pocket, it must be yellow, because you know what you're gonna. But isn't it a great thing? Everybody's always kind of gauge. When do I eat the bananas? Or maybe maybe people think this through a little too much. Like the people that made this.
I'm a little weird. I buy my bananas like that. I go to when I'm at the banana aisle. Mm-hmm. I'll pull off a couple of yellow ones. I'll pull off a couple chartreuse ones, and then I'll get some green ones.
Are you allowed to do that?
Yeah. It doesn't say you can't pull apart the bananas. Yeah.
Because I thought they all,
you had to pick up a whole bunch and you had to leave it unmolested.
Yeah.
No, you can molest your bananas.
Okay. All right. I'm glad we got something out of that
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, you can, because that plastic pack that they show, and it looks really nice. It's like a little rainbow. It's from yellow to green. I mean, it's really perfect. But yeah, you can do that yourself. You can go to the banana aisle and you can pick several different colors. And
Well, don't let the public know that, because they're never going to buy this little package. Although people like me would get that.
I can't remember what I was in a grocery store once where they actually arranged them like that. You went in there and they would say, today, tomorrow, next week. They actually had like 3 sections of different colored bananas, so you could.
Hmm.
And I think they had the avocados like that as well, because avocados kind of
Sure.
do the same thing.
Absolutely. Fascinating. We should do a home bit. I know we got the heating and vacuuming and air conditioning podcast, but we should, do a remote from
Grocery shopping.
an Aldi.
Grocery shopping tips with Tim and Bruce.
Yeah, sure.
Sponsored by. We can get a grocery store to sponsor us.
Oh, absolutely. And then, I can spot a banana on the floor if somebody, because I'm an attorney, and I said, now if you trip on this one, on the green peel, might not be a lawsuit, because but if it's a brown one, it might a greater likelihood you got a lawsuit there.
Yeah, there's got to be a black skin. Got to be a black skin for the law for the big money.
So I don't know if you saw this. Paul McCartney performed on the season finale of Saturday Night Live, and this might very well be his farewell performance as well. He's 83 years old. Probably sounds a lot better than I do today, but
Did you watch it, or did you just watch
I went
the
to
clip?
bed before Paul performed, and I thought he should have too. Okay.
Maybe he might have thought that as well.
He doesn't have a high register anymore. And, look, I know as a fellow singer, I don't try to sing September from Earth, Wind, and Fire in karaoke anymore. I can't do it. But, and Paul can't sing his own songs.
Huh.
He just can't do that anymore. Now, there was the big debate. And I've told you my Paul McCartney story that I interviewed him, right? And he was a ton of fun, almost on a par with the Chris Farley interview of him on SNL. All I can say is, if I sound this bad at karaoke, I should be pulled off the stage. My wife actually watched it and thought he was bad. Although I got to say, my wife, who was a music major in college, she noted that Jim Cornelison was a bit pitchy on the highest note of the Star Spangled Banner in that first outdoor hockey game at Wrigley Field when it was colder than a pitcher's mitt. So she's a tough critic. But Paul shouldn't have been put through that. You don't have any. You didn't see it.
I didn't watch it. So,
well, let's see if
he's Paul McCartney. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, I guess so.
I saw it, Chris.
Yeah, what'd you think, Chris?
Well, he has a backing singer to hit the high notes, so he doesn't have to. But I mean, for an 80-year-old, I thought it wasn't bad. His new song sucked. You always have to play the new song first. It's about reminiscing about the early days of the Beatles and coming together. So they had the pictures behind them of them as young.
Yeah, but the song sucks.
Yeah, but the song is boring. Yeah.
And then this blonde.
So he can't write either. He's not only he can't sing,
and then
he
this
can't
blonde
write anymore.
in the audience was heading her engagement party there was yelling, "You suck!" and he was not very gentlemanly, and he was fined $5,000 by the FCC, which to him would be very, very little. Hey, Chris, I have to mention, did you see the White Sox Cubs series? Did you watch it?
Every minute of it, yes.
Yeah, I did too. And although the third, I wanted to watch the third on delay, and my best friend actually texted me what the result was, and I was ready to scream. Okay. But John Schriffen the announcer, at some point during the weekend, the Cubs had to substitute their pitcher, and they play na 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 na, hey hey goodbye.
Yes, he sang along with it.
He sang along, and
he was pitchy. He was pitchy.
Yeah, I'd rather have Paul McCartney singing that. But I feel bad for the guy because it sounds like he's doing his homework. I mean, he talks to the players all the time, and if he wants, he can use my ding dong dilly of a dinger for the home run call. He can have that.
But he's better than Benetti.
He kept emphasizing how this team is together. There's nobody selfish and all that. I mean, I don't know. You can say that once in a 3-game series. He was constantly saying it. I mean, do you think he lends much insight at all to the game? Although I know that Stone's the guy for that. But
can I say two things? Because you've had, we never get to it. You've had ABS. I don't know if Tim even knows what ABS is.
Yeah.
But they're doing Tim, you don't watch much baseball, but they're doing a thing where you can challenge a strike call, and they have the digital screen comes up, and it happens so quick, which is the great thing about it, is it's like 2 seconds, and they show you where the ball went in the virtual strike zone, and they can overturn a call. I love it.
Me too. Me too.
It's you think the umpires get surly about it.
It shows how good the umpires are, because even when they're wrong, they're wrong like by about a 16th of an inch.
Yeah.
I mean, so they're,
Well, I don't like introducing things that aren't going to be there after a nuclear holocaust. I like the fact that, that somewhere in the rubble you can find a stick and a rabbit's head, and you can still play ball. When you need a computer and a video camera and just stuff that's going to be fried in the first electromagnetic pulse wave.
We're going to take it to a dark area here, Tim. Jeez.
Yeah, really. Chris, you wanted to say something else? You wanted to mention something else too.
Oh, one other thing about the announcing for the Sox. Gordon Beckham seems to do all the road games now. Steve Stone doesn't go on the road anymore. I think he's fantastic.
Oh, okay. Remember when we all thought Gordon Beckham was going to be the next Steve Musial? I mean, he started off better than Pete Crow Armstrong started off, and Pete Crow Armstrong's. But here's the difference: Pete Crow Armstrong managed to get the $19 million a year over 6 years before he really screwed the pooch, which he's doing right now.
Yeah, same thing. He's really good on defense, like Gordon Beckham was, and cannot hit anything right now.
Although didn't he let a ball go through his, get by him for like a little league type home run the other day in Milwaukee?
Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah. So, look, when are the Cubs and Sox playing each other again? That's the next time we'll revisit these teams.
Nuclear winter.
And that's the kissy face note on which I'd like to end this. Have a good Memorial Day weekend, everybody. Remember our servicemen. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
And that's the Weekly Wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The Weekly Wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production.